Okay, everyone. So we are going to get started. So welcome. My name is Courtney Leary. I'm the head of marketing demand here at Proof, and I'm incredibly excited to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Removing the Friction, How to Streamline the Member Experience. Our team knows you likely have plenty going on at work and in your everyday lives. So we're really grateful that you've taken the time to come spend the next 45 minutes with us. And we're really excited about the content that's in store for you all. Next slide, Pat. So before we kick things off, it's always good just to take a moment and go through some housekeeping items. So first, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share this recording with you after the fact. So if you jump early or you want a second to digest all this great content, don't worry, we'll get this recording in your hands. You should also see a chat feature in your Zoom toolbar. We ask that you use this to engage with your team when it comes to today's presentations, or if you find yourself dealing with technical difficulties, just please put that in the chat. And if you have questions, we ask that you place those in the Q&A section, which you should also find in your toolbar. And when we get to the Q&A portion today at the end of the presentation, it'll be easier for us to answer your questions if we can pull them from that centralized location. So please, during the presentation, we're going to be going through a lot of slides, a lot of great content. Feel free to drop your questions in and we'll make sure those are addressed at the end. And at the end, you'll have a chance to complete a survey about today's presentation. If this is your first time attending a Proof webinar, we love surveys and they go a long way towards us helping to build our content that is relevant to you and your business. So we really greatly value your opinion and please take the time because we want to make sure your voice is heard. Next slide, Pat. And as for the new faces in the crowd, we'll briefly introduce you for what's an overview for what you can expect for the next 45 minutes. So before we dive in, we'll introduce you to Proof and overview of the credit union landscape, the rise in fraud, and what we're doing to help streamline your member experiences. Then we're going to hear from our solutions consultant, Justin Rossi, going into a live demo, showing our Ron suite, identify and fraud solutions. And then we're going to wrap things up with a live Q&A. Again, we'll pull questions from the Q&A chat, so be sure to put your questions there at any time during the presentations. And with that, I'm going to hand things off to Pat Kinsell, our CEO. He's going to give a quick introduction to Proof before diving into things. Pat?
Hey, everyone, can you see me, Courtney?
I can. Looking good.
Awesome. Seamless. Sorry for missing the click earlier. I only had one job and I managed to mess it up. Look, I'm really excited for everyone to join us today and appreciate your time very much. I am in the very hot city of Las Vegas today at a conference, normally live in Boston, and we get out and travel frequently. So I do hope for the chance to see as many of you in person as possible as well. I wanted to touch a little bit on our mission as a company. We started as Notarize, and some of you have known us for quite some time, and we recently renamed the company to Proof. So we want to talk about the larger mission that we have, and we've made it really easy to adopt the solution. It's something that can be deployed as easily as in a week, and Justin is going to talk about that with everyone as well. And later today, we're actually going to be announcing a partnership with Circle Collaborative, which we're really excited about the credit union market. We have a lot of fantastic customers in this space, and we've actually had a QSO making it really easy to work with all of you. So, again, we're very focused and excited to have everyone on the call. So a little bit about the mission of Proof. So, I think it's no surprise to everyone on the phone that the concept of know your customer has been a huge focus for the financial services industry for the last 10 plus years. And really, the identity verification market has grown up to solve this problem of knowing your customer. And we think that's not enough. We think what really matters is the ability to trust your customer in every interaction that you have with them. And what's interesting about the background image you see here is they were actually all generated by AI with different dates going back, hundreds of years to all the way in the bottom right. That's actually the year 2300. And so it's interesting that even the AI thinks that the concept of a trusted transaction is sitting down at a table and signing documents with your customers and your counterparties. But we all know on this call that's not even how things work today. Many of your customers that you have, you only are interacting with digitally, and it's still necessary to provide exceptional customer experience to them and to be able to trust them in every transaction that you execute. And so that's really the mission that we are focused on solving as a company. A little bit about what's happening. And so this is a report from FinCEN that came out recently talking about the state of identity-related fraud. And although this just came out in January, the most recent year that it covers is 2021. And I would draw your attention to the second and third rows here around false records being a $45 billion challenge and identity theft being a $36 billion problem. And those are each significantly larger than money laundering, which is really the KYC AML, solution set that so many people have been focused on. And so these are real existential problems that really the documents that people are submitting to your organizations can't be trusted. And the people themselves are oftentimes, impersonation, identity theft, and the like. And we really see the attack in the surface area as existing across your entire organization. So it's not just when people are trying to open an account. And if you think about account opening, people are trying to give you money, right? And really, once people have that account, they're entrusting you to protect their assets. And criminals are now through authorizations, powers of attorney, spousal consents, loan agreements. They're trying to either borrow money in other people's names or steal the assets that you've been entrusted with. And so we really see the threat surface, expanding across every form and every authorization. And interestingly, in the bottom right, FINRA has come out now with warnings about other digital solutions. And the notion that an e-signature is only as secure as the inbox that you send it to. And as we know, phishing, email compromise are huge problems right now. And so we think that people need to really level up in order to secure all these customer interactions. And it's not just about the losses. I think one of the things as Notarize and now Proof we focused on for a long time is, yes, our product has a ton of benefits, but what it really allows you to do is digitize everything that comes before and that comes after, from intake to QC, to looking for, fraud in these documents. And really what everyone has done is they've added a ton of friction to their business processes in order to catch fraud and identify errors in forms. And so this, has to do with delays in critical transactions, headcount really, focused on going through forms that you intake. And so we think the real cost of fraud is much, much larger than just the losses associated with it. And we're also seeing regulators really start to take notice of this, issue set, and they're starting to push the liability and the responsibility on, frankly, you all, right? And so we have the Attorney General suing Citibank in New York. We have, the Zelle payment network being made to reimburse people. In the retirement industry, regulators are starting to say that plan sponsors need to reimburse a spouse if their spouse defrauds them. And one of the challenges is that what they're simply saying is you're not doing enough, but people aren't defining what enough is. And so we not only have a solution to really help secure these transactions, we're very involved, just like we were in Notarizing, creating the online notary industry, in the regulatory conversation that's happening around these forms as well. And one of the things for you all to be concerned about is that credit unions are really on the front lines. That report from FinCEN said that 57% of all fraud is targeted at depository institutions, and credit unions are really taking the brunt of some of these losses. And we think that's frankly, it's unfair, and it's something that we want to help all of you solve. And the other thing I would point out is those statistics from 2021. So before the advent of AI, and AI has a lot of phenomenal benefits and implications, but it really does represent an existential threat to trust, right? It is now trivial in a matter of minutes to pretend to be someone else. And if you think about so many of your security practices are around the need to trick someone into doing something, right? Phishing, sending them instructions through their email. Now you can simply just circumvent the customer and pretend to be them. And that's really a horrifying concept to consider. So we know when these numbers are finally updated to affect the current reality, they're going to be even more concerning than is represented in that data. So at Proof, what we believe is we need a new way to transact. And this is what we've spent the past several years doing, evolving from Notarize to Proof. And to put it simply, we need the ability to prove who you are, we need the ability to prove what you did, and we need records that you can trust. So when you get a power of attorney or a spousal consent or an auto loan or commercial loan, when you hold it in your hands, you have full confidence that the right person's signed it, that it hasn't been altered, and that you can actually act and streamline your operations around that. And so this is what we do. We embed identity information in documents with cryptographic signatures. If you think about what an online notarization is, we identified someone and we signed it legally online in a tamper-evident way. And Proof has taken that and built a platform that allows you to use that technology and have that assurance in every single transaction that your business processes. So it goes well beyond paper and well beyond e-sign, really to make these the most secure records that your business could rely upon. And so just to quickly summarize the Proof platform, at the base, what's most important is compliance. And so we grew up with Notarize. We comply with all of the notary laws across the country by state, by county, by industry. We have all the title underwriter policies and the like. We've expanded those into identity policies as well. And so think about an auto transaction. In some states, it's a notarization. In some states, it's a specific type of e-signature. We manage all that for you. We create secure records. I mentioned not just the forms that we produce, but all the data that we capture, the record retention requirements that you have to follow, privacy obligations, we deal with that. We have Defend, which is this new fraud and forgery preventing service that we announced last week. And then we support different types of transactions across the network. So the solutions we offer to the market is we still offer Notarize. We're extremely proud of the service. It's the most compliant and trusted online notarization platform. That is what Justin's going to focus on later today. We have Sign, which is a more secure version of e-signature. Identify, which is the ability to just put people through identity verification flow, leveraging the strength of the platform, and now Verify, the ability to step up these transactions. And I'll talk a little bit about Defend, our fraud solution as well. So this is a good example of Defend working in action. And so, I want everyone to understand that these risks of deepfakes, they're not theoretical. They're actually happening today. And we are able to catch these. And so this is a real transaction that we caught on our platform using our Defend solution. And that person is fake and yet came on and held a complete conversation with one of our notaries. And we caught them through a myriad of techniques. So we have all sorts of data that we're looking at related to synthetic identity risk, email address risk, phone risk. Has it been swapped? IP risk. We're looking at behavior across the platform. And then we built a lot of software to analyze the video and audio feeds. And so we are now catching this type of fraud across our platform. And customers are really starting to turn to us for transactions that don't need to be notarized because they want the same level of assurance. And really what it allows you to do is to act and to evaluate risk before either releasing funds, transferring assets, or making a key business decision. One of the things I like to compare this to is really the evolution of the credit card network. So if you think about back when people used checks, you would walk into a merchant, you would buy a television and give a check, and you'd walk out the door with the TV. And it wouldn't be for weeks that they would realize that that was a fraudulent check. And we see the same future for all of these other types of transactions, where in real time you can assess the risk of the person you're doing business with, get an authorization, and ultimately for there to be a liability shift as well. So you can have certainty in the transactions that you're processing as an organization, be that a commercial loan, equipment lending. I could go on and on with the various types of transactions that benefits. We send out emails and alerts. We've got API calls, so you can really embed this in your platform. And so you can automate these risk-based decisions. So every transaction gets a risk score. I won't go through all the detail. It really depends on the use case and the model. And this is something that we are still working with partners to tune to their specific business requirements. But it's a low, a medium, and a high risk. And soon we're building the ability to automate your business decisions in response to the specific data that the platform provides. So I like to say it's a firewall for your business. If you think about your tech stack, you have every instructions coming in as signed. If it's secure and can be trusted. You have software that is monitoring for risks, for anomaly detection and the like. You don't have that same capability for all of the instructions that are coming in through documents, forms, authorizations, and the like. And that's something that Proof is now providing for the rest of your business. Our vision is that every customer interaction should be secured. So on the left-hand side, again, is KYC and AML. How do you take the benefits of identity verification and signing everything across your entire organization so you've got proof and certainty and everything that you do. And yes, it is for preventing bad actors, but it's also for having proof that your customers are taking actions on your platform, from wire authorizations, to borrowing and the like. We think it's critical that every transaction has trust and certainty as to what transpired. Did they authorize it? Did they have, provide consent and the like? And so our recommendation to everyone is to start with notarizations, right? And so we've now built out a whole variety of transactions, but notarizations is really where most people still start with us. And the reason is because these are transactions that are still being processed in paper. There's such an opportunity to lift the member experience, to transform your operations in home lending and commercial lending, the like. We have the ability to stand up a portal for your members' retail transactions. We have fantastic partnerships with FedEx, for example. If you walk into a FedEx and ask for a notary, they're going to say, we've partnered with Proof. Here's a QR code to do it on your phone, and they get a discount, for accessing the service. We can do the same with all of you very quickly, and Justin's going to walk you through that. So if you wanted to tell your members, hey, you can now digitize notarizations online, we have a discount with our partner Proof. It's very easy to start with a power of attorney, a spousal consent. If people need to digitize these, click and go forward. We then like to work with partners to really walk across your business to help digitize key business processes. And that's when our other products come in, when we think about really securing the end-to-end customer lifecycle. So a little bit about how we got here, I think, is important. And so, as a company, I've always just said that we're a product and policy-led organization. And so we've been extremely active in really blazing the trail for online notarization. We've now passed actually 45 state laws. This slide needs to be updated. It says 43. But we did the first ever online mortgage closing in 2017, the first online auto sale. So we work with a lot of credit unions in their auto business, for example. There's countless transactions that we have partnered with people to help digitize. People come to us and they say, hey, I can't figure out how to do X. And we either through product or through policy have helped people digitize that. And I think that's really important when you're wondering how to work with us. We love your hardest problems. That's what we want to help work with you all on. And really, we're incredibly proud of our online notarization service today. It's our right to win. It's how we really earn the right to help digitize your business. It is online 24/7, 365, and we answer calls in less than a second. So if you think about trying to digitize a business process or how to offer an incredible member experience, instantly, our notaries are online to help people complete transactions. It takes about 6 minutes in total. The vast majority of consumers can get through the experience. It's been tuned now over millions and millions of transactions. So issues with bad devices, bad cameras, audio, we've built so much technology to help process those, and it's accurate. And so we have all of the notary rules built into the platform and all sorts of tools to execute your transactions perfectly as well. That's not just great for your members, it's great for your team members, right? There's nothing more frustrating. We hear from a lot of customers that 30% of all notarizations actually have to be reprocessed by the consumer because there was an error. And that's just tremendously frustrating for everyone involved in the transaction. And that's a problem we've dedicated ourselves to solving. Cuts about 11 days from the average transaction, sometimes as much as 17. And that's just tremendous for your business. It's tremendously better for consumers. If they're trying to make an account change, for example, in the paper-based process, that can have a delay of as much as 2 weeks. And now you can do it in 6 minutes and consumers can move on with their lives. The ROI is tremendous across a lot of our customers. And so really at the end of the day, especially in this environment, we know that if we're not helping you save money and we're not helping you drive revenue, you're not going to do it. And so we drive conversion rate in critical transactions, right? If you think about loan modifications, we've helped our customers increase conversion rate, HELOCs, increase conversion rate, auto transactions, equipment leasing, reducing cost per transaction. So we're very focused on helping you get up and running as fast as possible, with the least effort possible. We built a whole bunch of tools so you can realize, ROI very, very quickly. And again, Justin's going to help talk about that. And coming soon, this is actually live for some of our customers that we're going to be announcing this shortly, is our new standalone identity verification product. And people are really starting to use this as an omni-channel solution. So we have all the digital tools, but now when someone actually wants to come into the credit union, how do you still have all of the benefits of identity verification tying data and customer experience together. And so it's very simple on our platform to generate a QR code, for example, and to put it in a physical location so people can walk in and scan their identity, and you still get the benefits of all of our fraud mitigating solutions. So again, how to get started. So our recommendation is to start with online notarizations as a member benefit. Stand up a portal for your consumers' notarized documents and offer them a discount. That's something we can literally do with you this week. It's really easy for us to do. We then, typically work with customers to digitize their common forms with easy links. It's a template-based solution. Again, we can do that very, very quickly. We've got Identify for in-branch experience, and then we do work with customers to fully integrate into their platforms, and that's really where we see the ROI, and that's where we've got great team members like Justin that work with our partners to accomplish that. And so we're going to pivot over to a demo. Let me bring in my illustrious colleague, Justin, and I appreciate everybody's time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Pat. And hello, everyone. My name is Justin Rossi. I'm a solutions consultant here at Proof. I'm going to be diving in a little deeper with you today into the platform that Proof developed that can bring your credit union, as Pat was mentioning, from paper reliant to completely digital in as little as a week. And with that, we'll try to have a little fun along the way as well. Now, Pat touched on this a little during his presentation. However, to set the stage on what we're going to be diving into today, we'll quickly run through part of our product suite. Now, of course, beginning with our sign product, which is going to allow you to send your members basic e-signs with an optional level of identity validation put in front of it. Identify, when you need to prove someone is who they say they are, right, without the need for them to sign anything. And of course, Notarize was started it all. So as Pat touched on a few minutes ago, when your documents require a notary, the Notarize network is there 24/7, 365 with no appointment necessary, or choose to use your own in-house notaries. And then finally, Proof Defend, as Pat was just mentioning, our newest release product, which protects all of your transactions against fraud and forgery, whether that be sign, identify, or notarize. Now, I'm sure that the suite of products that Proof has to offer sound like the perfect fit, right, for any credit union that wants to continue their digital journey and then do that with a layer of fraud prevention. Now, it may seem like on the surface that digitizing existing workflows at a scalable level will be a daunting task. And I'm here to show you that with Proof, you could be stood up quickly and efficiently. Now, of course, how quickly a credit union is stood up depends on how you'd like to design your digital journey. On the left here is where your member's journey begins. Whether you send them a notarized or e-sign transaction through our user interface, or you'd like to develop a custom API integration to initiate that flow, the choice really is yours. With that comes how your customer will initiate the transaction, which is the signing column in the middle. Whether you suppress Proof emails in favor of embedding the access link in your own app, or they self-serve the process through an easy link, the flow is customizable. And lastly, where the completed documents are stored comes into view. You can have the completed e-note or PDF automatically vaulted to your e-original vault, or maybe you just want to download those documents from the Proof sending UI. The power of Proof is that you can implement a crawl, walk, run strategy. Go digital today with an easy link and invest in the future with a custom API integration. So we're going to jump right into Notarize for those who aren't totally familiar with the process. Now, I've been mentioning easy links, which is the fastest way to digitize a use case. Now, an easy link is a reusable workflow that can be configured in seconds, hence the name. Put in front of your members to allow them to access an e-sign, notarization, or even identity proofing workflow. So when you create an easy link, we generate both a link and a QR code that you could put in branch to immediately begin offering online e-sign or notarization services. So in this example here, we have an easy link that allows your member to upload a document they need notarized. From there, sorry, go a little bit too far ahead. From there, they'll verify their identity with knowledge-based authentication, or often referred to as KBA or challenge questions. Of course, they'll take a picture of their ID that we present to the notary for additional validation. So I'm actually in a notary meeting at this point. Of course, this is our test environment. So I have a picture of a notary here. Of course, this would be a live notary. You're talking through audio, video. And now that I'm in that meeting, the notary will, of course, introduce themselves. They'll validate my ID. They'll ask a few questions, such as, are you participating in today's signing session of your own free will? Have you had a chance to review the documents and so on? After which that notary is going to begin looking over the documents to figure out what each document requires. So if a designation is missing, for example, the notary has tools to drop the correct designation for that signer to complete. So I'll go ahead and sign the document now as the member. Again, very quick, it's just clicking through. And if you're wondering, on average, as Pat was mentioning, a notary meeting for a simple form like this lasts less than 6 minutes. From the notary's perspective, I add all of my information in as well. As I try to complete the meeting as the notary, a validation is run which checks whether all meeting requirements have been fulfilled. So if a notary missed anything or the signer missed anything, the proof platform is going to tell them and allow them to go back and finish what they may have missed. Again, this makes sure that everything is in good order before this notarization meeting completes. So I'll go ahead and complete now as the notary. We give them a quick survey while those documents process. Of course, I'll rate myself 5 stars at this point. And then I'm given access to my documents immediately. So these are tamper-proofed documents with a digital certificate of the notary embedded in that document. So of course, I can download these now, and then the credit union, in your case, your agents are able to access these documents immediately for further processing. Now, we touched on, basic documents, right? The proof platform is not just for basic documents that require notarization. With years of product development in collaboration with lenders, underwriters, and title agents, we built a platform that can handle every part of a real estate transaction. Now, what sets proof apart is our proprietary RON eligibility engine, which is powered by 3 layers of rules. So this eligibility makes it easy for you to tell whether property is eligible for closing through remote online notarization by taking into account state and county e-recording acceptance rules, along with rules put in place by title insurance underwriters. Again, allowing your members to close online from the comfort of their home or on vacation has never been easier. Now, one challenge in online notarization that has sometimes been a factor is witnessing. Whether it's a deed in Florida or a POA in your state, there may be a requirement for someone to witness your member signing. Nothing is worse than making it to the finish line only to realize you either didn't bring a witness or you didn't know you needed a witness. With proof, a witness can be added on demand from our pool of notaries to ensure the document requirements are met. No need for coordinating with a neighbor or family member to be your witness or having to start over the process to go find someone to watch you sign. So next up is our sign product, where you can choose the level of identity validation before your member signs. You can imagine this could be a basic loan application or application to become a member of your credit union. Now today, you may rely on basic e-sign with no validation of the member's identity. However, our customers have come to realize that fraud rings have become more prevalent and sophisticated, as Pat walked through earlier. It has become more and more important to add a layer of protection even when your documents may not require notarization. Now, this is a slightly different type of easy link where I've created a document template and I've attached it to the easy link. Now, I'll pause here. If anyone would like to take their phone out, scan this QR code with their phone's camera, you can actually launch into the experience. You'll see a basic e-sign where you enter your email and name, sign the document, and as the credit union, of course, you'd have that completed e-sign document drop right back into the Proof for Business portal for you to further process it. Totally optional, but I do know some people like to get their hands on the product early on. And so this is also a good time to plug that whether your member is doing an e-sign, a notarization, or standalone identity validation, they can do so from the comfort of their couch or on their smartphone without the need to download any apps. Our platform can run every step within your member's smartphone web browser, from identity validation to signing their documents in front of an online notary. Of course, identify when you need to prove someone is who they say they are without the need for them to sign anything. So here they can verify their phone number, scan their ID, take a selfie, which checks liveness. And at the conclusion of this process, that credit union will get an identity report that, of course, you can reference or provide to your security or compliance team to further investigate. Now, we'll wrap things up with Proof Defend. We believe this is going to ensure your credit union and members are safe transacting on our platform. So this here speaks to our layered approach that the platform uses to ensure someone is who they say they are. There are many different ways that you can gain information about your customer. We have KBA, which goes hand in hand with the notarization product, credential analysis that always gets layered on top of that. We have the ability to add in a biometric selfie or liveness, and in comparison to that selfie to the photo on the ID. With Defend, which is the top layer here, This monitors and provides fraud signals and an identity risk score that we'll talk about on the next slide. That risk score will be associated with every individual you send through the Proof platform. So what Proof Defend is doing is monitoring every transaction that we see come through. So we're taking hundreds of different data points and aggregating them into a single risk score for an individual. In this example, we see James Park and Jenny Parsons flagged up at the top as medium and high risk. So as they've come through the platform, gone through credential analysis, logged into an account using the device of choice, we're tracking things like IP address, tracking signals about their device, which we'll get into in a little more detail coming up. But we're pulling all of that together and we're assigning a risk score and flagging this to you. So this is a look at our email signaling that allows the right credit union team to get alerted if the Proof platform detects behavior we'd like your team to review. Proof can check signals like the line type, whether this is a burner phone or a voice over IP, providing hints if a user had their phone number stolen, as an example. We'll also pull signals about IP address and email and put all of this together to let you know whether there is suspicious activity occurring. With that, thank you again, and I'll pass this back to Courtney.
Great. Thank you so much to Pat and Justin for this awesome presentation, showing us how Proof helps remove the friction and can help streamline the member experience for financial institutions. If you liked what you heard and you want to learn more, want to just have a conversation with our team about working with us and how we could potentially help your business, just simply scan this QR code and this will allow you to book time with our team. All right, with that, we are on to Q&A, and we did have a few questions that came through the chat. So with that, we're going to address those and pass those off to our speakers. So Pat, you are on deck first. What red flags did the Proof system catch when interacting with the deepfake?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in that particular instance, it had to do with synthetic identity risk, as well as recognizing discrepancies in IP address. One of the things to know about our platform is it's really about orchestration. So we have, we really grew up in the real estate industry. And so we have the ability, for example, to dial in a realtor, right, or a loan officer into transactions. And we've used a lot of that technology now when someone's on a computer to have them do something on their phone, for example. And it allows us to broaden the data that we collect. And so one of the things that was triggered was actually that their phone and computer were in different locations, plus some of the data that we've licensed around synthetic identity risk. But there's so many things. I mean, people coming in and out of the platform, modifying data, trying different devices. And we have a lot of, both fantastic homegrown solutions and partner solutions. My perspective, I think, given since you asked, I'll opine, is that really what we do is we allow customers to digitize business processes. And our objective is to bring the best-in-class fraud mitigating solutions into our platform. And that is going to be an endless pursuit. And so when new capabilities come out, we want to partner with those providers to bring that technology into our platform. So if you use us for auto, for example, you need an end-to-end solution that's going to digitize the forms, remind customers to sign, provide an exceptional signing experience, comply with the law, and mitigate fraud. And really, in this fraud space, we think we're going to innovate solutions and we're going to partner to pull them into our platform over time.
Great. And one more question for you, Pat, while we have you. How have you addressed the previous weaknesses in customer support and availability?
Yeah, look, it's hard to know. I apologize if that was your experience, and it's hard to know the timing. But look, COVID was a difficult time for us, both going in and coming out. So I don't know, the specific availability issues that you're speaking of, because they depend on what time period you're talking about. So going into COVID, we did not have enough notaries on the platform. The demand for our services went up hundreds of fold, multiple hundreds of fold, as industries look to digitize. And so that's really when we went to the open network concept for notary fulfillment. And that is why we now have the 1-second SLAs. And we have built so much great technology to manage availability of notaries, from alerting and tiering and custom panels. So if you wanted to onboard people in your local market you work with, you can do that. as independent contractors added to our network, you can put them in a pool so that you can target them specifically. You can now onboard your own teams. You know, we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 notaries. We commit to enterprise SLAs now on the notary side. And we have, you know, penalties for not performing. And so we really feel that we've addressed that problem. You know, the second, you know, thing you mentioned was support and the way in which we engage with our customers. And look, coming out of COVID was a challenging time for us. I'll own it. You know, we had a lot of people sign up during COVID who, you know, didn't have every intention of moving forward with us, and it took us quite a while to figure out which of our customers were real versus not, and how we needed to staff our teams. And so we've brought in fantastic leadership. We really are proud of the service we provide today. And if you had a bad experience with us during COVID, I just ask you reach out to me personally, and we will address that. And we're a different company, and really proud of the service that we offer. So
Thanks, Pat. Justin, this next question, I'm going to pass it to you. Do you see this as relevant for mortgages and home equity products? Do you have any existing integrations with mortgage-related closing products?
Yeah, great question. I actually saw this come in during my presentation, so I think it was before I got to that real estate slide. So I hope I answered some of your questions there. That said, absolutely. You know, we built a real estate platform that takes into account, again, just between eligibility, between being able to add contacts who can join that meeting with your members as they sign. That could be realtors, it could be title agents, loan officers. They can join that meeting in real time. That said, as far as existing integrations with, you know, the mortgage related products, we have partnerships with DocuTech, SnapDocs, SimpleNexus, DocMagic. Of course, you can vault with the original very seamlessly and be stood up very quickly. Beyond all those integrations, though, we have a really easy to use Proof for Lenders portal that gives you all the same tooling with the ability to create these transactions, send them out, and, you know, customize the flow for your members. So that said, I'd love to talk to you more about it if you know, have a specific real estate use case and how we can get you started really quickly. So it's probably a good time, you know, to scan that QR code, and we can definitely talk more about it.
yeah, SnapDocs too. Didn't mention them.
Nice.
And Resware and SoftPro. And so we've made a huge investment in real estate integrations, and especially if you've already made progress digitizing, you know, we don't want you to start over. We want to work with the partner that you have and really bring fantastic RON services to your business.
And with that, Justin, we have a question. Are you fully integrated with Encompass with ICE?
Yes, yeah, we have an integration with Encompass. Again, let's definitely talk. You know, there's always with integrations, of course, it could depend on how long it takes to get stood up, whether that makes sense or not. And so, you know, let's definitely talk about it, but we have integrated with Encompass.
Great. And Denise, yes, we can follow up with you regarding that vendors for who we integrate with on the mortgage side. And for everyone on the call, PDF of this presentation will be shared along with the recording. And we have one more in the public chat. We actually have a couple more coming through. So for Pat, have any lawsuits resulted in the rejection of Notarize on Proof online regarding the digital process?
No, and we do frequently get engaged in various, you know, legal actions as you'd expect. But nothing's ever been, you know, rejected or overturned because it was executed with RON. You know, I think it's actually an important point. You know, we are a great partner to investigations that need to occur. The evidence that we collect, and that is true both for our corporate partners as well as, you know, we do have practices, you know, responding to subpoenas and the like. And so we take that part of our business seriously as well.
And Henry just came in with the question as well. Either of you to answer in relation to autos, are the electronically signed notarized POAs generally accepted statewide for MV processing?
Look, the short answer is it depends. We have a matrix state by state, and we have a lot of very successful auto companies that are doing LPOAs on our platform. There are some markets where we do have challenges with the MVs, even though we shouldn't. And if you're in that space, I think you understand why. And so we tend to, as part of our sales discussion, talk about specifically in auto, what markets you serve, our success that we have. on our platform, we do know from our existing customers where they're transacting, what their success rates are. And we do have partnerships for part of the eStart coalition, for example, in the auto industry to continue to digitize that market. And so I would suggest you get in touch and we can have an informed conversation.
Great. And then I had a question that was just asked privately for Justin, just in regards to walking through, the use of the notaries and how we can use proof notaries, or can we use our own in-house notaries if we'd like to?
Yes, yeah. So you have that flexibility. We could definitely work with you on your in-house notaries to make sure that they're eligible to perform RON. That said, you can use our on-demand network. You can even do an overflow option. So you could use your in-house notaries, say during business hours, and then have those members overflow to the on-demand network off hours, right? You can also set an overflow as far as minutes. So after 5 minutes, you can overflow from your in-house notaries over to the on-demand network if you don't want your members waiting longer than, say, 5 minutes, right? And so you could set that with us during the implementation, and we can discuss what the best practices are there for you. So a lot of options, a lot of customization that we can do. We have panels as well with specific notaries that we can implement. So love to work with you on that.
Wonderful. Another question, how do you vet the training experience of raw notaries for mortgage lending?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take that. So all of the notaries go through, and I'm sorry, Justin,
No, it's okay.
webinar dynamics, but all the notaries go through a training and a vetting process. So all our members of the NNA and SPW, every single notary goes through background screening. Every notary, we check their commission, their insurance or bond, depending on the state. And it's actually automated by state. In all the states possible, we're integrated with the Secretary of State systems. We make sure they're in good standing. We issue our own certificates. And then people that do real estate transactions go through additional training, and they do have some requirements about the number of completed transactions they have on our platform. So that's the tiering. So only, the highest tier notaries are allowed to perform real estate closings. We track CSAT scores and the like very closely. Anyone who underperforms is pulled out, put back through training again, and or removed from either from the tier or for the platform. So we manage that very, very closely.
And to dovetail off of that, maybe Justin, if you want to take this one, how do you store the recorded notary service?
Yes, yeah. So I was mentioning, the notary meeting is recorded. It's one of the questions that gets asked as well. It's stored on our platform. It's available for you to download after the session. And so that will be available. I know that's oftentimes, especially for mortgage products, becomes something that you do require to actually pull back that audio video recording. Again, it is made available on our platform, along with other artifacts like an audit trail and things like that within that document package once it completes.
Yeah, the only thing we didn't touch on today, because there's a lot, is I had that bar for Command Center, which is our enterprise capabilities. And so we do have things like custom key encryption, time to live policies, data retention policies that are all configurable as well. So we meet the obligations, and then we will follow your security requirements as well.
And then we are just getting to that 45-minute mark, but there was one more question that came through the anonymous chat. It was regarding on-demand witness that we recently launched. And Pat, I don't know if you want to address this, but what if there are two witnesses that are co-located?
We support all flavors of witness. And so they can be co-located with the signer, they can be co-located with the notary, they can be dialed in remotely. And if dialed in remotely, they can be sourced from our notary network as well. So I think that's a great thing to work with someone like Justin on our team to understand your specific business requirements around witnesses. And we have the tooling. And it's not just in real estate, there's other transactions, a POA in Pennsylvania, right? There's all sorts of different transactions with witness requirements, and we've been able, to solve all that we've been presented with.
So we actually just got a question. Do you support POA and trustee signing?
Yes.
That
Trustee signing, also, a designee, we have signing groups. So if it's a shared, legal team, for example, that needs to sign, not a named individual, all those different permutations we support.
All right, I'm going to give another moment just for anyone who has any last minute questions. You can put those through the Q&A. You are able to send those to me anonymously as well. All right. Well, if you do have any other questions, because we are at the top of the hour right now, please feel free to send those along. You're able to include those in the survey that we send out after from the webinar. But thank you all so much for taking the time. That concludes our webinar for today. We will be following up with the recording of this webinar and the other on-demand resources as requested within the next 48 hours. We really appreciate you all for taking the time to join us today. We loved having you. It was great seeing the engagement through the chat. And we wish you all a wonderful rest of the day and week ahead. Cheers, and thanks for joining.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.